Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Around the World in 40 Tales. My name is Doreen Vanderstoep, and I am here with my fellow Storytelling Alberta member, Ellen Gasser. Welcome, Ellen.
Oh, thank you. Pleased to be here.
It is great to be with you tonight. So Ellen will be sharing a story from right here in Alberta called Rattlesnake Wisdom tonight. I can't wait to hear it along with all of you. We'd like to acknowledge in the spirit of gratitude and reconciliation that Storytelling Alberta operates on the traditional territories of the Indigenous signatories to Treaties 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10. And this land includes the Métis settlements and the Métis Nation of Alberta. Now, Ellen, I want to tell everybody a little bit more about you. Ellen Gasser has always loved stories, both written and oral. She was a voracious reader as a child and loved to listen to the stories of her English grandmothers and her talented tale-telling Uncle Lloyd. Her long career in natural and cultural history interpretation with Alberta Parks, Heritage Park, and a variety of museums and visitor centers, and her passion for researching history has led her to many exciting stories. She loves telling stories around campfires, on guided walks, in interpretive shows, at tell-arounds, and through her writing. So Ellen, please go ahead and take it away.
Thanks. Well, as Doreen has said, I've spent most of my career working in interpretation, teaching people about history and about nature. But I want to take you way back to the very beginnings, when I was just starting out, and tell you a story about fear, intrigue, and respect. Now, when I got the phone call to offer me my very first job in interpretation, it was to work in a place called Writing on Stone Provincial Park, or Ace-in-Apie in Blackfoot. Now, that was a name on the map of Southern Alberta that I'd seen, but I'd never been there, and I really didn't know anything about it. I was a budding young wildlife biologist, though, in third year at university. I was so keen to know all about the animals that were there. And the voice on the other end of the line is saying, oh, there's all these amazing things. There's pronghorn and mule deer and coyotes and bobcats and marmots and raccoons and rattlesnakes. What? Rattlesnakes? Oh, but don't worry, you'll be lucky if you ever see one. Well, that night I had quite the dream. I was walking through the grasslands at Writing on Stone, and I stepped on a rattlesnake, and I leaped back, and I landed on another, and I leaped, and I landed on another, and I leaped, and I leaped, and I leaped, and I leaped, and everywhere I landed on a rattlesnake. It was terrifying. And that dream haunted me for the weeks leading up to my summer job. And when I finally got to Writing on Stone, walking through the grasslands was quite a harried affair. I mean, I was quite nervous, and every grasshopper sounded like a rattlesnake. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Well, it probably took about a month until I saw my very first rattlesnake and heard it rattle. And it didn't sound anything like the grasshoppers, more of a dry rattling sound, sort of a. Well, after that, I could walk through the grasslands much more comfortably and really enjoy those grasshopper trills. And over the 4 years that I worked at the park, I did see some rattlesnakes, but not very often. And they were almost always sliding away through the grass or coiled up very calmly. Occasionally they would rattle, but they never struck. There was one place in the park, though, where I could almost guarantee that I would see a rattlesnake, and that was on the trail to the battle scene. Well, I used to take people on a tour there about every other week, so I always warned them about the snakes. And I would say, if you see me stomping my feet, I want you to stomp your feet as well. And that will warn the snakes that we're coming. They'll feel that vibration in the ground and they will leave. Usually, I'd say, it's about the fourth person in line who will see their tail sliding off through the grass. It was odd how there'd be this strange shuffling after that, and no one ever seemed to want to be fourth in line for that tour. But the stomping usually worked. And I learned that rattlesnakes, the prairie rattlesnakes for sure, are very shy, and they don't want to be seen at all. Well, it was probably the next fall, that fourth year that I was there, that I got to stay late into the fall. And I discovered where some of the hibernaculums were. That's the place that they den up for the winter time. And I was very curious about how long would the rattlesnakes stay out and how many would be in a den. So I would go to that den at least every week, and you could stand up high on the cliffs up above and look down at the entrance to the den, and I could count the snakes there. And you know, it was November 11th that year that I saw the very last one just right beside the entrance, coiled up there. The next spring, I was out walking in the coulees with a really good friend of mine, a long-time area resident. He'd grown up in the area, walked through rattlesnake country his whole life. And we came across the most beautiful rattlesnake that I've ever seen. It was just coiled up against a little edge of sandstone, trying to take in that spring sun to warm itself up. It was so calm. Oh, it was an amazing photo opportunity. It was full frame in our camera lenses, and we were snapping pictures away. There was just one problem. There was this little tiny piece of grass right across the rattlesnake's face, and it was ruining the picture. Lawrence and I reached forward at the same time to move that blade of grass. We pulled our hands back and we looked at each other wide-eyed and we said, I think we are just too used to rattlesnakes. Well, many years have passed since then and many experiences, but I still remember my rattlesnake dream. And I learned that over those years that you can be really scared about some wildlife, but if you start to learn about them, how to live with them, you can get more comfortable and even really intrigued. But that day with the full frame rattlesnake taught me it's best never to get too comfortable and always maintain a healthy respect for wildlife, especially rattlesnakes. Thanks for listening to my story.
And thanks for telling. That was excellent, and wisdom, good wisdom for all of us. Thanks for your story, Ellen, and your gift for our 40th anniversary. Wonderful. If anybody wants to reach out to Ellen or any one of us at Storytelling Alberta, you can reach us by email at info@storytellingalberta.com. And do visit our website, www.storytellingalberta.com, where we have tons of links to other videos celebrating our 40th anniversary. Thank you to all of you for joining us around the world.